In terms of the first things in my life that gave me any personal pride, I mean, personal pride hasn't been a big deal for me in my life, but probably it was academics. This doesn't sound too bad, but when I was in about year 3, the teacher used to write a whole bunch of maths problems across the blackboard, and she would get us to do them, and then there was about 40 minutes work, and then when we finished we'd put our hands on our head, and if we were lucky and finished on time, she would let us leave to go and play outside a bit earlier. But cheeky me, I used to just do them as she drew them, and then it got boring, so I'd watch as she was writing them and I couldn't see, but I'd watch her hand move, whether it was a number 3 or number 4, so that about 10 seconds after she finished, and then she sat down, pain in the ass, I would sit there with my hands on my head. I noticed once she got a little bit annoyed, but anyway, I don't know, academics always loved it actually, and especially mathematics and that sort of thing. And I did well at high school and blah blah blah. When we had our final high school exams, called leaving or A-levels or whatever you want to call them, I actually I didn't feel like I'd done that well in some subjects. You had to get 7 subjects to pass, and I think you had to get 4 to get into university or something. If you're really lucky, you got a distinction, and in those days the results were in the newspaper, and they came out in the evening newspaper. So when my results came out, Dad got my grandmother, his mother, to ring through with the results, because she got the newspapers first. She just lived next to the city, and she phoned him and gave him the results. And in the factory where we worked, he was a clerk, he had a shirt and tie on, and I was working covered in dust in the factory with my mates. And he came marching down, and it turned out I'd got all 7 subjects, and in 5 of them I'd got a distinction, which is pretty sort of top 1%. Even surprised me, to be honest. I still have a fond memory of Dad walking into the factory with this piece of paper. Son, I've got your results here. Grandma phoned them through to me. You got 7 subjects and 5 distinctions. Well done, son. Where's Norman? I've got his results as well. And I could see him beaming with pride. But and the other thing I remember about Dad beaming with pride, because I never heard him and Mum brag about our academic achievements. Never heard them, squeezing it into a conversation or anything. I never got a sense that we were their bragging rights. We were just who we were, and they were supportive of us. I know when I got my doctorate, Dad got like front row seats in the graduation ceremony, and it's always the end. And when they read it out, and I was the last one of the evening, he just stood up and gee, it was so great. Not for me, I mean I loved it, but it was just my job, I guess. I just took it in with stride. But it was great for Dad, to be honest, because he was a very bright guy, but he had ADD and struggled at school and didn't even finish high school. And then it was only when he got into the Navy that he really took off. He did exams and was apparently the youngest petty officer or chief petty officer ever in the Australian Navy. What else gave me pride? When I was playing junior football, I kicked 10 goals once in a football match. It was one of those days that everything seemed to go well. I mean, 3 or 4 goals is pretty good, but 10 is off the scale, and I remember that. And I guess, my rest of my story of my limited but joyful sporting experiences, I tell that elsewhere, and what impact all of that had on me as a person, which is the whole reason for doing these videos, what you can take away. It's not about curiosity, blah blah blah. It's about what you can take away, maybe yourself, and grow from it in some similar way to that I grew from my experiences.